Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you the procedure for replacing your front disc brakes. We've got here a 2003 Honda Odyssey. Procedure is basically the same for any 99 to 04 Honda Odyssey. We show you the passenger side. You would obviously want to repeat this for the driver's side and always replace your brakes in pairs. And tools you'll need are, you'll need new pads and rotors from 1AAuto.com, jack and jack stands, your lug wrench or a 19mm socket with a breaker bar, 14mm and 18mm sockets, wire brush, a large C-clamp, and a torque wrench. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got the vehicle raised up and I'm removing the lug nuts with my impact wrench. If you don't have an impact wrench, you want to start with the vehicle on the ground, loosen the lug nuts with a 19mm socket and breaker bar or your tire iron, then raise and support the vehicle and remove the lug nuts and wheel the rest of the way. And you can see here I'm kicking the tire. That's basically just a way, if your tire or your wheel is a little bit frozen on because of the aluminum, just give it some good kicks and break it loose, and then you can remove the tire. Use the steering wheel or pull on your brakes or your suspension so you can see the caliper easily.
Okay, so a quick inspection of the brake. If you look through here, you see a little slot there. It's actually a wear mark that indicates that the pads have pretty good wear left on them. And then the same thing over here, you can see that little mark right in there for the outside pad. Pads actually are pretty new, but we'll take them on or take them off, put them on to show you. Also, just inspect the condition of the rotors, and these appear to be nice and new. Run the back of my finger along them. There's no deep grooves or anything. But what we're going to do next is we're going to remove these two bolts here, one here and one down here. Okay, these bolts are 14mm. Use a 14mm socket. You shouldn't need to use too big of a ratchet handle. They should be fairly easy to get off. Okay. And before I take them all the way off, I'm going to grab my caliper, pull on it really nice and hard. Okay. And take these bolts out. And by pulling on that, I actually kind of loosen up the caliper a little bit, and it comes right up and off. And for now, I'm going to put it right here. Okay, to get the pads off, you're just going to pull right out. Okay. And pull right out on the rear one. And like I said, you can see these pads are fairly new and in good shape. To get the rotor off, I'm going to remove these two larger bolts here. Okay, these bolts are 17mm. I'm going to use a ratchet and a piece of pipe. Always a good tool to have for some leverage. The right tool is actually a breaker bar, but you can use this method if you don't have a breaker bar handy. Just apply nice even pressure until the bolt starts loosening.
I'll just speed up here as I remove those bolts.
There's two screws that hold the discs on. Correct tool for this is an impact driver, and what you do is, well, you can try putting it on here and then just twisting it, but usually that doesn't work. Basically what you do is you twist this counterclockwise to load it up, hold it in the screw, and then when you hit it with the hammer, it both drives the bit into the screw and turns the screw counterclockwise at the same time.
I'm going to fast forward here as I just use the impact driver to loosen those screws and then remove one of the screws.
Okay, so I got this one out, and I will have to admit this is the first time this has ever happened to me. Even with the impact driver, this stripped, so I'm going to use a drill and drill it out. Okay, so I'm looking at my screw. A 1/4 inch bit should be enough to drill it right out. Okay, so I've got my drill, 1/4 inch drill bit. Screw's nice and easy because it's already got a hole in it.
And I'll just fast forward here as I drill out that screw. Okay, you saw there I just used a hammer and hit the middle of the hub, and that broke the disc free. Now I'm putting a nice new rotor from 1A Auto on, and I can use the one screw that I was able to get out and hold the rotor back on. Since I wasn't able to get that other screw out, I obviously can't use it to put it back on. That's okay. The rotor's held on by the five lug nuts and wheel as well.
Okay, now I've just put my inner pad right in here. It's like a big C-clamp. And with your old inner pad in there, tighten up the clamp that forces the piston back into the caliper. And make sure your slides are nice and loose here. And then clean out, use a wire brush and brush these stainless steel slides. Clean them out. Take your 2 bolts. And this goes between the rotor and the knuckle. Rack it back in place. And start your bolts in. Now we've got our torque wrench set to between 85 and 90 foot-pounds, and torque these bolts on. Put your pads in, pretty easy. Just kind of hook them right in here. Get them into the slides. Front one, slide it right down in. Now you can bring your caliper right down. I'm going to push these in just a little bit. On. Okay, and these bolts you want to set between 18 and 20 foot-pounds.
Okay, now we're getting into the home stretch. Straighten out your wheels either by using the steering wheel or pulling the suspension. Put your wheel back on and start all your lug nuts just by hand first. And then while the vehicle's still in the air, just kind of preliminarily tighten them with your socket and ratchet, or as I'm doing with my impact wrench. Now again, use your torque wrench and you want to tighten your lug nuts between 95 and 100 foot-pounds, and use a star pattern as you tighten.
Okay, whenever you've had the brakes apart, just make sure that you pump the pedal a few times, make sure it's nice and firm, and then before you road test your vehicle, just do test stops from 5 and 10 miles an hour just to make sure the brakes are working properly.
We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.1aauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.